Hey guys, we're on part 3 of PowerPoint 7.2, the Enlightenment. Okay, so if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2 yet, back up, go watch those first. For those of you guys that are in the right place, we're going to hit some additional philosophers real quick, and then we will be done. Thomas Hobbes, okay? Thomas Hobbes was also English, and he believed that given their own devices, if nobody was watching and there was no government around to keep people in check, people were evil, okay? People are going to be selfish and greedy. Somebody drops a wallet behind them as they're walking by. Every single person ever is going to pick that wallet up and pocket it for themselves and not tell the guy, hey, yo, your wallet fell out of your pocket, says Thomas Hobbes. Is he right? Some people are that way. If no one was watching, they do the wrong thing a lot of the time. But is everybody that way? I hope not, right? Hopefully some people are going to do the right thing. But Thomas Hobbes argued that people are selfish creatures and they're driven by desire for power and their own well-being. And so government was a necessity in order to keep order in society. Otherwise, it would just be chaos and anarchy everywhere. All right, so governments were a necessary thing to protect people really from themselves because people by nature are so selfish. All right, this is an FYI slide. I understand that, but no, it's in your Discovery Tech book and textbook, and he's a guy that's going to come up again, high school, college, all that stuff, so be aware. Another guy, Voltaire. Voltaire is French. He was a big believer in individual liberty. What does liberty mean again? Fancy word for freedom, okay? So individual freedom was a big deal to Voltaire. He was really concerned with the freedom of the press, the freedom of speech, okay? He believed that religious tolerance, the freedom of religion, were important things in society for people to get along and to be able to be a part of the process and speak their mind, right? And so he was really, really big on freedom of speech, something we have in the United States. So again, Voltaire is another philosopher, mover and shaker of the Enlightenment that influences us, even though it's hundreds of years later, okay? Again, themes you're going to see in high school and college and beyond. So Voltaire, freedom of speech, is another big, famous philosopher. Rousseau. Rousseau believed in democracy, that the people should have a say in the process, they should have power within what's going on, okay, that voting had a place, okay, that if the people collectively worked together to vote somebody into power or vote for a law, right, that it must be what the people want and they're going to be apt to follow it, that people can be trusted, with some power in the process. So he's a little less gloom and doom than Hobbes is. He had a little more faith in the people than Hobbes did. So Rousseau was about people being created equal and everybody being able to have a say, and that government should be born, should exist for the sole purpose that they're protecting individual rights. Okay, that we have law and order to protect your rights, that we have a military and safety measures to protect your rights and freedoms, right? And that is the point of government and part of that social contract that we were talking about, right? Okay, so yeah, that's social contract. All right, last question, guys, that you're writing down on your notes. Q9 is the last one. What is the impact of the Enlightenment? Well, unless you have been hiding your head under the sand for this entire lecture, hopefully you already get what the impact of the Enlightenment is, right? It takes years. It takes many people and many movements and a lot of pushing government and pushing church to accept these values. But these are lasting values with impact on multiple cultures throughout the world back then all the way up into now, especially in the United States. Because remember, the U.S. is born out of immigrants coming over from Western Europe, right? We start off as British colonies. We're, originally English. And so these values from these Western European thinkers from the Enlightenment follow us over here because the ancestors of the United States were all British and from other places in Western Europe. And so as they come over here, we sink our teeth into these ideals and these beliefs. We like what a lot of these philosophers have to say. And as we get more and more angry with the English and their treatment of us and taxes and unfair expectations that they have on us as colonies, the more we revolt and rebel, and ultimately will end up in the American Revolution fighting for our independence, right, to become a country. We're not the only ones. These same ideals will end up promoting and swaying and influencing the French to do something similar. Very shortly after we have our revolution and fight for independence, France has the French Revolution. That's the one that's famous from all the guillotine, people's heads getting chopped off and stuff. And Marie Antoinette, who got her head chopped off and let them eat cake. Maybe some of you guys have heard of that, which, by the way, she didn't really say let them eat cake, but that's a different lecture. Yeah, it influences multiple Western countries. It influenced what will become the United States eventually. It influenced other places around the planet as well, and continues to do so despite these guys being dead for a few hundred years at this point. Okay, they tackle the issues nobody wanted to talk about. They tackled social and political problems head on, despite not having freedom of speech in a lot of their countries they were coming from. They spoke out against that. They spoke out against their form of governments. They spoke out against their king. They spoke out against corruption and tyranny in the areas that they were from Western Europe, and they tackled the tough issues. They didn't hide. Okay, they didn't stay quiet because it was against the law. They really felt like social reform, remember reform means change, and political reform, political change, was necessary for society to become enlightened, the Enlightenment, right? And move forward into their best selves. They'd been doing the same things the same old way for a long time, but society was progressing, right? The Renaissance was a rebirth, and the Reformation was change and reform, right? So we're changing government and people's rights, and the role that they have within their country and within government should be changing too. It all makes sense. It's all linked together, all right? So all of this stuff greatly impacts lots of countries and their political beliefs and their moral beliefs about right and wrong. And of course, it impacts us in the United States with our Declaration of Independence. We borrow a lot of stuff from John Locke and Montesquieu when we get to the U.S. Constitution and we're deciding how our government should work. We use those 3 branches of government from Montesquieu. And so it definitely has a lasting impact on a lot of places. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed your lecture. You got everything down, all right? Get to your summary, nice and detailed, guys, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day.